You ever have one of those mornings where you wake up, check your phone, and instantly feel behind?
Oh, yeah, you scroll for 2 minutes and suddenly it looks like everyone else is happier, richer, fitter, or doing something amazing with their life.
Exactly. And that's where today's topic comes in. Something simple to say, but tough to live by. Don't compare yourself to anyone.
Easylish isn't just about learning English, it's about learning through life. So, in this episode, we're going to unpack how comparison sneaks into our daily thoughts, how it shapes the way we speak, and, most importantly, how to shift from comparison to confidence.
Because here's the truth: comparison steals your voice. When you're always measuring yourself against others, your confidence drops, and your English learning, or anything else, starts to feel like a competition instead of a journey.
Right? And it's not just about language, it's about the way you see yourself. Maybe you compare your accent to someone else's, or how fast they learn, or how many mistakes they don't seem to make.
But what you don't see are the hours they practiced, the times they froze, or the doubts they've hidden. Comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel never makes sense.
That's such a good point. And it's easy to forget that everyone's learning timeline is different. Some people learn English by moving abroad, others from their phones after work. Same goal, different path.
So today, we'll explore how comparison shows up in language learning and in life, and how to replace it with something way more powerful: personal growth.
Stay with us. Because once you stop comparing, you start growing in ways you never imagined. You know what's strange? Most of the time, comparison doesn't even start as something bad. It starts as curiosity.
Yeah, like, wow, she speaks English so naturally, or he's already working abroad, that's amazing. At first, it's admiration, but then quietly, it turns into pressure.
Exactly. Suddenly, you're not inspired. You're insecure. You start thinking, I'll never sound like that, or I'm too far behind.
It's like your brain switches from appreciation to competition without asking your permission.
And comparison doesn't always look obvious. Sometimes it's hidden in small thoughts, like when you're practicing pronunciation and think, ugh, my accent sounds weird.
Or when you see a friend posting in English online and you decide not to comment because you're scared your grammar might be off.
Yeah, it's that quiet voice saying, don't embarrass yourself. But here's the twist. Every time you compare yourself and hold back, you stop the very thing that would help you improve, using your voice.
Exactly. Growth doesn't come from silence. It comes from showing up, from making mistakes, from practicing out loud, from trying even when you're unsure.
And that's what learners often forget. You can't compare your first chapter to someone else's 10th.
I love that. It's like learning to play the guitar. You don't expect to sound like a professional on day one. You start with one chord, then two, and slowly, your fingers remember.
Same with English. Every time you speak, you build a little more confidence. And that confidence multiplies, not by comparing, but by continuing.
So maybe the goal isn't, I want to sound like them. Maybe it's, I want to sound more like me in English.
That's it. The moment you stop copying and start expressing, that's when English becomes yours. And
You know what I've noticed? When people compare themselves, they usually pick only one part of someone else's story, the part that looks perfect.
right, like someone says, she speaks fluently, but they don't see the years she spent studying, or the nights she stayed up watching YouTube videos with subtitles.
Exactly. It's like watching a movie but skipping all the hard scenes. You only see the victory montage.
And that's why comparison is so unfair. It's built on incomplete information. You're judging yourself with full honesty, but you're judging others based on highlights.
That's so true. I remember when I started learning Spanish. I used to compare myself to this girl in my class who always seemed confident. She spoke fast, laughed easily, and everyone loved her accent.
And what happened?
One day we had to do a group project together. And guess what? She was terrified of grammar. She could speak fast, but she kept worrying about writing. That's when it hit me. Everyone's strong in different areas.
That's such a powerful reminder. Comparison blinds you to your own strengths. Maybe you're amazing at listening, or you have a great ear for pronunciation, or maybe your storytelling is what draws people in.
But if you keep focusing on what others have, you'll miss what's already growing inside you.
Exactly. It's like trying to water your neighbor's garden while your own plants are drying up.
I love that image because that's what we all do. We pour our energy into comparison when we could use it to build something real, something personal.
So if you're listening right now and thinking, I wish I spoke like that person, pause for a second. Ask yourself, what's one thing I'm already doing well?
That question changes everything. It brings your focus back home to your effort, your story, your progress.
Mia, I think one of the biggest traps of comparison is that it makes us forget how far we've already come.
Totally. We spend so much time looking at who's ahead that we forget to look back at the person we used to be.
Exactly. Think about when you first started learning English. Maybe you couldn't follow a movie without subtitles. Maybe you froze when someone said, "How's it going?" But look at you now. You're understanding this podcast, right? That's huge progress.
I love that perspective because when you stop comparing yourself to others and start comparing yourself to your past self, you finally see growth for what it is: steady, quiet, and real.
Yeah, it's like climbing a mountain. If you only look at the peak, you'll feel exhausted and small. But if you turn around and see how far you've climbed, you'll feel strong.
Exactly. That's why I like to remind learners progress doesn't always look impressive. Sometimes it's just a little more confidence in your voice or the courage to speak even when you're nervous.
Right. Fluency isn't built in one leap, it's a collection of small moments. The first time you order coffee in English, the first time you understand a joke without subtitles, the first time you stop translating in your head,
Those moments are gold. They're proof that you're growing in real life, not just on paper.
and when you measure success that way, comparison starts to lose its power. You stop asking, why am I not there yet? And start asking, what have I already achieved today?
Exactly. Because your journey isn't about speed, it's about direction.
Well said, direction, not speed. I like that.
And here's something practical. Once a week, take 2 minutes and write down one small thing you've improved. Maybe a word you used correctly, or a sentence that came out smoothly. Keep those notes.
That's such a great idea. It's like collecting evidence that you're better than you were yesterday.
And every time you feel stuck or jealous or behind, read that list again. It'll remind you you're not losing, you're learning. There's another side to this whole don't compare yourself idea. It's not just about jealousy, it's also about identity.
Yeah, when you compare yourself too much, you start building your personality around what other people expect, not who you actually are.
Exactly. You start copying accents, copying styles, copying what sounds right. But the truth is, your natural way of speaking, your rhythm, your tone, even your little mistakes, those are what make you sound human,
Totally. People connect to authenticity, not perfection.
right? Think about your favorite English speakers. They're not all the same. Some speak fast, some slow, some with strong accents, some with calm energy. What they share isn't uniformity, it's confidence.
And confidence doesn't come from trying to sound like someone else. It comes from being comfortable in your own voice.
That's why one of the best compliments you can ever get isn't, "You sound like a native speaker." It's, "I understand you easily."
I love that because clear and natural is way more valuable than fake and forced.
And it's not just about pronunciation, it's about expression. When you're always comparing, you start censoring yourself. You think, is this the right word? Or would a native say it like that? But when you stop worrying so much, your English starts to sound alive.
It's like music. If everyone tried to play the same song the same way, it'd be boring. But when you bring your own tone, your own style, suddenly it has heart.
Exactly. Your English doesn't need to sound like anyone else's. It needs to sound like you thinking in another language.
That's the real goal. Fluency isn't imitation, it's communication.
And you can't communicate honestly if you're busy comparing yourself to everyone else.
So maybe instead of chasing perfect English, the question should be, what's my version of fluent?
Beautifully said. Because when you answer that, you stop competing and start connecting.
You know, Mia, something really shifted for me when I stopped comparing myself to other speakers and started learning from them instead.
That's such an important distinction. Because comparison makes you feel smaller, but observation makes you smarter.
Exactly. If you admire someone's pronunciation instead of thinking, I'll never sound like that, try asking, what are they doing that I can learn from? Maybe it's the way they pause or how they stress certain words.
Right. Comparison says, they're better. Curiosity says, how did they do that?
And that little mindset shift turns jealousy into fuel. Suddenly, other people become your teachers, not your competitors.
I remember a student once told me, I listen to native speakers, but I always feel bad because they sound so confident. I told her, don't listen to feel bad, listen to discover.
That's gold. You can't control how good someone else is, but you can control how much you learn from them.
Exactly. Watch how they connect ideas, how they use expressions, how they respond emotionally. Language isn't just grammar, it's rhythm, tone, and attitude.
I love that word, attitude, because the most fluent speakers aren't necessarily the most accurate. They're just comfortable enough to keep going.
Yes, they make mistakes, but they recover fast. That's the secret. They treat mistakes like background noise.
And that's what we want for our listeners to build a mindset where other people's success doesn't threaten you, it inspires you.
Exactly. Because every fluent speaker you admire was once a beginner too. They just didn't stop.
So maybe the real goal isn't to catch up to anyone, it's to keep walking at your own pace, learning from everyone you meet along the way.
That's it. And that's how you turn comparison into connection. I think what makes this whole topic so personal is that comparison isn't just about other people. It's also about the version of yourself you think you should be by now.
Oh, that's deep. Yeah, sometimes it's not about envying others. It's being disappointed in yourself. Like, I should speak better by now. Or, I should have been fluent years ago.
Exactly. But language and life don't follow our schedules. Progress doesn't always look like a straight line. Sometimes it's two steps forward, one step back, and that's still okay,
Totally. I always remind learners you're not late, you're just living a different timeline.
right? And comparing yourself to an imaginary better you is just as harmful as comparing to someone else. It keeps you trapped in frustration instead of gratitude.
Gratitude. That's the key word. When you look at your learning through gratitude, even the smallest step feels like a win.
Exactly. I understood that sentence. I spoke up in class. I didn't freeze this time. Those are all victories.
And the beautiful thing about gratitude is that it builds confidence quietly. You stop needing proof from others because you already see your own effort.
You know what I tell my students sometimes? Don't chase the finish line. Chase the feeling of becoming.
That's so powerful because when you focus on becoming more confident, more expressive, more open, you can't really compare that to anyone else. It's uniquely yours.
And it makes learning English feel lighter, doesn't it? More human, less mechanical.
Yeah, you start to enjoy it again. You notice progress in the sound of your voice, the courage in your tone, the comfort in your mistakes.
So if you're listening right now and you've been comparing yourself, pause, take a breath. You are not behind. You are in progress.
And progress is exactly where you're supposed to be.